So talk to us some more about this insulin resistance, because that's the key. That's the cornerstone.
Yeah.
That's what's happening at the bottom line. Because, why are people putting on weight? Or why is obesity coming in? Where is this food being stored? Because at the end of the day, you want to give that glucose transduction right through the cell into the mitochondria, where all the energy and the ATP is being released.
Exactly.
So insulin resistance, take us there.
So insulin resistance can occur from several reasons. So, and this is type 2 diabetes, right? So essentially, you have sugar going up really quickly, okay, sugar in your blood, glucose in your blood going up quickly, but also it's staying up for too long, okay?
Right.
So the more sugar stays up, the higher it goes, and the longer it stays up, it means that your body is going to be consistent or continuously getting the signal that, hey, we need to bring sugar down, so make more insulin. So it's telling the pancreas, hey, sugar is still high, so let's make more insulin to bring the sugar down, okay? But then we said that eventually, when you have so much insulin in your system, it's going to clog the system up. And eventually, the cells are bombarded so much by all this insulin that they're like, okay, like we need to lock this out, because like we're going to blow up, we're going to explode, we can't take any more energy anymore. And so they lock the channels that insulin would need to put sugar into the cell, so that the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, can get the ingredients it needs to make the energy, right? So the cells get locked up, the channel gets locked up, insulin cannot get in, so sugar is high, it stays high, it goes high again. So there's even more of a signal to the pancreas, make more insulin, because the sugar is still high, and it's a vicious cycle, okay? Insulin stops working. So the problem number one is too much sugar in the system. Too much sugar in the system means that you're making more insulin, right? But then more insulin means that you're going to have a resistance. The body's going to shut off the channels of insulin. So solving problem number one, too much sugar. To solve that problem, make insulin, right? But then you make insulin, and then insulin stops working. So solving problem number one causes problem number two. And then you're stuck now. Your sugar is always high. Insulin cannot get in because the channels are blocked, and you're just not feeling well. The cells, the mitochondria, they get some energy, but they're not getting it on a regular, efficient basis, right? It's a sluggish process. And so you're just not feeling well. And ultimately, so in terms of insulin now, you're chronically now with high insulin in your system, right? Insulin causes a whole different set of problems. So insulin is good because it helps your cells get the energy that they need so they can do whatever they need to do and you can stay alive, right? But then if you have an excess of insulin floating around in your system now, that is constantly telling your body, okay, we're in storage mode. We need to put away, we need to store. So we need to store all this excess energy as fat, right? And even if you don't have any energy, because okay, it finally comes down, but your insulin lags, like the decrease in your insulin takes a longer time, right? And so you have it still in your system, even when you're in the fasting state, and it's blocking your ability to burn fat. So you're in the fasting state, but your insulin hasn't come down yet, right? So now it's blocked, you can't burn fat. So you keep the excess fat, especially belly fat, right? Excess fat in your liver, okay? And then insulin causes other issues as well. It causes, eventually you can have some problems with stiffening of your vessels. It causes your kidneys to hold fluid and salt. So your pressure goes up between the stiffening of your vessels and holding on to more water and salt. Your pressure goes up, you have swelling of your legs. And then insulin, it's like a pro-growth chemical, a pro-growth hormone. So we talked about how it makes you put on weight, makes you store fat, but it can also tell tumors to grow. So some cancers are stimulated by insulin. So as much as we know about diabetes, but we're learning more and more about how having high insulin and insulin resistance promotes the development of breast cancer, colon cancer, liver cancer, lung cancer, not lung cancer, right? Colon cancer, I said, right? Ovarian cancer, potentially, right? And then also in the ovaries, it causes like the stimulation of cysts, right? So that goes to the polycystic ovarian syndrome that I mentioned briefly before, right? Where it causes overproduction of certain chemicals and then overgrowth of cysts, and there's an imbalance in the female hormones, right? So all these downstream problems just because insulin is staying high in the system. And that's really why we're seeing so many of these different lifestyle diseases. And then, you go on to the heart disease and the stroke risk and so on and so forth.